Jumping to the number 5 spot of the top 5 budget monitor arms is a arm from Vivo, coming in at a price tag of $32.99. If at any point during the video you want to check out any of the 5 arms in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's talk about this Vivo monitor arm. Firstly, this setup for this monitor took a little under 15 minutes start to finish. This is also the only monitor arm on the list without height adjustability on the fly. So you can still adjust the height, but you just have to adjust it, set it, and then live with it. This is a small extra step, but there's a few benefits to that. Clamping it to pretty much any desk is very quick and easy, and the clamp is adjustable to pretty much any desk thickness, which is the reason I absolutely love monitor arms. Is you don't have to destroy anything, drill anything, and basically anyone can mount them to a desk. Now, even though this is very budget friendly, the build here is still great. It's made almost completely of a thick, high quality metal, and the only plastic here being removable cable management clips and other coverings and things like that. Although it doesn't have a gas spring height adjustment like the other monitor arms, the good thing about that is you don't have to worry about gas spring maybe degrading over time. Although a lot of these gas springs are not what they used to be. They're significantly better and much more reliable. I've had a lot of monitor arms for 4+ years now, using them every single day, and there doesn't seem to be any degradation that I can find. So maybe that's something to consider, maybe it's not, but it's definitely gonna be more reliable even if the other ones are very reliable. Just less things to go wrong. All right, but let's talk compatibility. We tested way over what this monitor arm is rated for, and after testing, really this can hold any 24 or 27-inch monitor with ease, and lighter 32-inch monitors around that 14-pound range work fine, no problems at all. This has an advertised weight cap of up to 22 pounds and a screen size up to 38 inches, which it can definitely do, but when testing a 34-inch ultrawide, it did well with all the adjustability, and the tilt was actually smooth, which was surprising, but when fully extended outward, the arm did lean a little bit forwards. It can definitely hold it, it's just a little bit unsettling, and I would say for the price, if you have the money for a 34-inch ultrawide, I might choose a different one on the list, but really any 27, 24-inch, and most 32-inch monitors are gonna be totally fine on this panel. But with that, let's move on to the number 4 spot, which is a monitor arm from Bayou. This one comes in at a price tag of only $29.90. Yes, this is the cheapest one on the list, and it's actually very good. Setup while using the clamp method is extremely easy to build, and the method to actually mount it to the desk is the single easiest and fastest I have ever used on any monitor arm, like just full stop, regardless of price point. This can easily be mounted by yourself because the clamping mechanism detaches from the overall arm, and this also makes it extremely easy to actually mount this clamp without having to actually pull your desk away from the wall. This is the only one on the list that can really do that, and if you have a desk that is very, very heavy, or you need to do this by yourself, this one's a huge pro with that. I've put this on and off desks probably about 15 times, and it's very easy and quick. Now, the build here is almost completely made of metal aside from the cable management and the internal coverings, which is impressive for under 30 bucks. Now, for compatibility, this can basically hold any 24 or 27-inch monitor. Honestly, if you have one of those, either 24 or 27, don't worry about it, just go for it. And obviously it's an upgrade from the previous one, having that gas spring height adjustability on the fly, which is super luxurious if you've never used a monitor arm before. Now, this is advertised at a weight cap up to 19.8 pounds and a screen size of up to 30 inches. Now, really the advertised screen size is not something you should really pay attention to, it's the weight cap. Really, if you have any monitor, especially under 15 pounds without the stand, this is absolutely no problem, just go for it. We tested this with a 27, 32, and 34-inch ultrawide, and then on top of that, we tested this with a 40-inch ultrawide that came in at 20 pounds, so slightly over its max weight cap. And with the 34-inch and the 40-inch panels, the tilt bolt needed to be tightened all the way down and was creaky as you adjust it, but it held it in place very impressively well with no sag. That is actually very impressive, but again, that tilt adjustability, typically where monitor arms are gonna struggle with the higher weights and larger monitors. That's really the big thing, is the tilt. So while you could do it, and if you're on a tight budget, you can do it. Like, you definitely can put a 34-inch ultrawide on it, but that tilt is not gonna be something you're gonna wanna adjust consistently. So if you wanna use the monitor arm for like pulling it back, tilting it down and watching movies while kind of sitting back in your chair. This is not the monitor arm that I would do if you have a bigger 34-inch ultrawide or bigger than that. But again, the sweet spot is 24 and 27-inch monitors, and lighter 32-inch monitors are going to be perfectly golden. Above that, and I would prefer to have the other monitor arms on this list. But with that, let's move on to the number 3 spot, which is the Vivo Premium. This one is awesome. Coming in at a price tag of $59.99, you get a much bigger monitor arm, much beefier monitor arm for your money. For the ease of setup, this took around 8 to 9 minutes, which is great because this comes almost completely fully assembled. So if that was something that you don't like, well, this one is very attractive. Clamping to the desk is very easy as this has tons of adjustability for different desk size. And since this uses a clip-in VESA design, you screw the VESA mount to the monitor itself, and then you just slide it in and it clicks in. That is very nice and easy. Again, significantly easier to do by yourself. For the build, this is made almost entirely of metal besides the cable management compartments. That's very common for monitor arms because obviously they're very structural, but this one definitely has a more premium design. It does not look very generic. It has smooth lines, and if aesthetics are a big part of this, this is where aesthetics become just a little bit better overall. Now, this is advertised with a weight cap of 20 pounds and a screen size of up to 32 inches. Now, after testing, this handled 32 and 34-inch ultrawides that weighed in at about 17 pounds very well with smooth mechanics and no tilt sag. And again, tilt is typically where monitor arms are going to struggle with those bigger monitors. And on top of all of that, you have a much higher maximum height adjustment than when compared to the North Bayou, with which the North Bayou is great, but it's overall just a smaller monitor arm. This is on the more full-size monitor arm. This is nice if you want to stand at your desk, it'll be at standing height. If you want to really pull it out over you, it's going to pull out more obviously because it's longer and taller. And that is something that I do enjoy doing with my monitor arms, is sitting back, tilting it back over you and watching some Netflix. If you watch movies from your setup, this is a game changer. Really, truly is. Now, we tested this out with the 40-inch ultrawide that weighed about 20 pounds, and actually, the tilt was very good and there was zero sag, but it's definitely maxing it out and I probably wouldn't go over something of that size. We also did test this with a 49-inch super ultrawide, which is a 32:9 aspect ratio, and that is definitely over the max. You definitely don't want to be using a super ultrawide on this panel. 49-inch, like I have the G9 OLED, the Samsung G9 OLED, and that one was too much for this monitor arm. Definitely would recommend the number 1 spot if you want to do a super ultra wide still on a budget. Number 1 spot's the best. Overall, the Vivo Premium gives a high maximum height, making this better suited for 32-inch and 34-inch ultrawides, handled heavier monitor arms better than the previous two, and does have smoother mechanics. For 24-inch monitors though, while this can easily handle them, it doesn't make sense to not just save some money unless you want future compatibility with your monitor arm, and just choose one of the previous two if you do have a smaller monitor. But with that, let's move on to the number 2 spot, and this is a monitor from Ergear. This one comes in at $89.99, but at the time of filming, and I think this pretty consistently goes on sale, this has a $40 coupon, so check the links below if it's still there. So currently at the time of filming, that brings it to only $50. That is a very good price for this monitor arm. Setup here is very simple and takes around 10 minutes. Whether you have a thin, thick, or desk with odd edges, which ours do, this works with all of them. The clamp design is very good here. You can again easily set this up by yourself, even mounting that 49-inch ultra-wide monitor. This was very easy due to the VESA bracket mounting style, which seems kind of complex, but it's actually really easy to do, especially by yourself. Now, build quality here is a little bit different because while it's still made completely of metal essentially, except for the cable management, this is a much more beefy, thick, wide piece of metal. It's just very, very durable and strong. If you can get this for 50 or 60 bucks, this is probably the most thickly well-made monitor arm in that price category, as well as having a nice touch, which is having a USB inside of the monitor arm, like the actual mount. It's in there, so you can plug that into your PC or whatever you're using and have a USB that's very conveniently located. That's nice to have. Now, I've been running my LG 34-inch ultrawide on this monitor arm for years now. I think the Ergear was my very first monitor arm that I ever got, and this also has no problems doing the 20-pound 40-inch ultrawide. This has an advertised weight cap of 26.4 pounds and up to a 34-inch screen size, but again here, the higher weight cap is really what you should focus on. For heavier monitors, this is a bit more stable than the previous monitor arm and has nice smooth mechanics. And from my experience, which I have 3 of these monitor arms and have used them probably more than any other monitor arm, I can tell you that they are very reliable. However, when testing this with a 49-inch super ultrawide, it could not do it. This still is not cut out for those giant monitors, so still would not recommend this for a 49-inch super ultrawide. Pretty much any other monitor, I would go for it. This thing is very reliable. However, at 90 bucks at its full price, I don't think this is super worth it because the number one spot is just a better monitor arm and it's not even 90 bucks. So really this one is like 65, 70, that's where that's a really good deal. But again, if you want the maximum future compatibility with big monitors, well, the number one spot is the thing that you're gonna want. So let's move on to it. In the number one spot is the Vivo Ultrawide Monitor Arm. They call it the Ultrawide, but you can use pretty much any monitor you want on this. This comes in at a price tag of only $79.99, and while that sounds more expensive than the previous ones, this is a whole leap forward in quality. The setup of this monitor arm took approximately 10 minutes start to finish. The clamping mechanism on this is unique, having two of these giant bolts and then a clamp sitting on top of that. And initially it wasn't my favorite, but this thing is stable and is not moving. And that's really what this is designed for. Huge monitors. Basically, you don't have to worry about weight cap, size cap, anything. You just get this and you can pretty much put anything you want on it. And because of that clamping style, this thing is extremely stable. Even with the 49-inch super ultrawide, this handled it so much better than I was expecting it to. Build quality here feels the most solid on the list by a long shot. Again, it feels like a whole category jump above the other ones. This again is made completely of metal, but everything from the clamp to the arm itself is just thicker and more substantial here. Probably to take that extra weight, but let's talk about compatibility, because that's where it gets crazy. This is marketed specifically for ultrawides and absolutely delivers, but that shouldn't make you think that you can't put a 27 or 32-inch or 24-inch monitor. It really doesn't matter. All the gas springs are quickly adjustable for all of the weights, so you shouldn't think that you can only get big monitors on this. You can put anything you want on it. However, this has an advertised weight cap of 44 pounds. That is a lot. And screen size up to 49 inches, but I'm willing to bet you could probably do bigger than that. I just don't have a monitor that is bigger than that. It handled the 40-inch ultrawide like it was a baby monitor, and the super ultrawide 49-inch like it was nothing. And that's really, really impressive. The way it's able to do this is, again, the tilt is maybe the most important part. This uses a spring that is pushing against it. All the other ones on the list just use a bolt that you tighten or loosen, which causes creakiness and things like that. This one is very smooth with the tilt because it literally has springs pushing the opposite direction, which makes it very smooth for heavier monitors, and that is extremely impressive, making this the smoothest on the list. There was no sagging, the height adjustability stayed smooth, and it's also very, very large. I think it's the largest on the list. So overall, if you want to be able to hold basically any monitor arm, have future compatibility with essentially any monitor that you ever get, or you just want the most amount of value, which for 80 bucks, while it's definitely on the top of budget for what it gives you and the performance that it gives you, it is a dang good price, and you'd be hard pressed to beat it. But again, if you want to check out any of the 5 monitor arms in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But this is Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.